Good morning. Sorry, I had to whistle there. Good morning to you all. It's 30 degrees out. It's 10:25 anti-meridian, and we're heading into Gettysburg. Yes, we are. It's very fascinating. That's what we're doing, and it's going to be marvelous. Out in Gettysburg, the sun is shining, and it's always 79 degrees. That's not true. That's not true at all. It's probably around 30 there as well. It's not very far away. Anyway, how are you? Hope you had a good weekend. Hope your week is going well as well. Provided we don't get snowed out again, we are coming back with AG Today on Thursday. Judy Morley from the Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center will be on as our guest. And also we will begin the long, slow, sad process of saying goodbye to Colby. We will, I'll try to remember to have the phone lines open so you can call in and weep to Colby and beg him not to go. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing? So once I hit Fairfield, I have to slow down to 25. They're serious about that here in Fairfield. Just so you know. If you ever come through. It's a nice little town. You know, it's a nice little town. It's got houses. It's got churches. It's got empty lots where it looks like there was once a house. It's got a lot of things, and it's nice. Hey, James, Colby is moving to Montana, and he's going to be a cop in Missoula. He's like 98% sure he has the job. They were over for dinner last night, and he was showing me the gun and the belt that he was going to buy for service duty or whatever the hell whatever the hell I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm still kind of groggy. I was like, they make you buy your own guns and belts? And he's like, well, they don't make you, but you can. And I'm like, okay, all right. And yeah, so he's going. They sold their house, and it's sad. It's sad. Colby and Taylor, they're probably the only two people that I feel comfortable completely being myself around. Maybe there's one or two others here, and then of course there are people back home, but you know, there's no pretense, there's no watching what you say. We can just have normal conversations, and everybody knows that when you say something outrageous, it's not to offend, but it's to make laugh, and we laugh. And that's nice. That's a nice pressure valve, you know, to get together with them and do that. And so I'm very angry at him for not considering us in this move. You know, I mean, geez. No, it's a good thing. They're moving there. They want to start a little Sumner family, and her family is back there. And you know, you want to be closer to the grandparents for babysitters. You know, you want to be nearby so that you can say, oh, so my grandparents can see, but you really want somebody to babysit so you can go to the movies on Saturday. Yeah, is that what you want? Oh yeah. So they they want to do that, and Taylor's originally from out that way, and they've got property there, actually, a cabin and stuff, and some other land. So, good morning, Faye. It's nice here in Orlando, but I'd rather be there. Well, let's switch then. Our vows It's got electrolytes? The hell are you talking about? What does? What has electrolytes? Jeffrey says, morning, it's a beautiful day. Thanks for the Patreon Jeb Stewart episode. Loved it. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. More stuff like that coming on Patreon, where we kind of just, we look out towards the horizon and say, let's go there. And that's what we're doing. But all in the interest of understanding the Civil War and putting Gettysburg in the proper context. And honestly, if you were disappointed in how the guide exam didn't really examine you on the battle, and you felt deficient in all those other areas, that's part of the reason why we're doing this. We're spreading our wings so that we can be more well-rounded in case we want to take the exam again someday in the future. Peter says, Marines don't quit their post. That's what I said to him. And he's like, I'm not a Marine. And I'm like, you are a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. You used to say that. Don't give me that crap. And he just kind of like motioned silently, like over to his side where Taylor was sitting, as if to say it's her fault. Real weak. I said, Marines don't blame their women. That's what civilians do. Good morning, Dragoon. Good morning, Barbara. Grant says, please don't do that voice again. You don't like Stewie's, you're going to be an author? Yeah? You're going to a compelling character development? You got to go. You don't like that, huh? Barbara says, okay, I missed the beginnings. What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. I don't know. I don't remember. I have no agenda, so just kind of going off the top of my head until people in the comments inspire something. Good morning, Estella. How are you? GM Logan says, looking good. We'll be up in 4 weeks. Can't wait. Been 6 months too long. Are they selling beaver hats at Dirty Billy's yet? I mean, they do have beaver felt hats there, which are quite nice. But unfortunately, they are not harvested here in the park. Morning, Andy. How are you? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Grant says, Ted, that trivia game. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And he says, I think we need to revisit Sickle. I'm telling you. Well, I hear that the nonprofit website is almost ready to go. And I'll tell you what, we can do anything if we can get it funded. And that's how we're going to try to do it, is through that. So if you're a business owner and you're looking for some write-offs, you might want to help us out. The beauty of today, I'm not going to say the beauty of today, but there's beautiful things about the way things work today. Rich Snyder says, great episode with Cody on Aaron Jerome, one of your best, Matt. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it actually helps to rest. I felt on top of things yesterday, because I actually took the weekend to do nothing. The only thing we did was we went to this, we had lunch with Ken Gavin and his girlfriend Kim at the Carriage House in Emmitsburg. And then, it was a sunny day and we hadn't had one in a while. And I said, well, let's go explore Waynesboro, because that's close to where we moved. And that's where the Walmart is when you need to go to Walmart. So we're like, let's see what that's like, because we always hear about these things in Waynesboro, but our knowledge of it goes only maybe like a couple blocks in. So we drove through there. We stopped at an antique place. I got some oil lamps. I like oil lamps. And we're on a mountain, and they tell us like when there's a winter storm or a summer storm even, and the power goes out, sometimes we're without it for days. So I'm like, better start thinking of alternative sources of heat and light. And I like oil lamps, so got a couple of those. And yeah, but then mostly though, the weekend was relaxing. I took the time to purposely relax. I didn't really do any work on purpose. And I felt refreshed-ish on Monday, which is refreshed-ish is like normal refreshed for the rest of you. But I'll never, like, I honestly need a month away in a cave. But I can't afford the time nor the money to go rent a cave for a full month. So I can't do it. But I understand why the rest of you normal people out there value the weekend. Not only is it for play, but it's also for rest. And I haven't done that in 6 years. So I forgot. Actually, I never really did that. I never really looked at the week that way. My therapist says that that's a sign of ADD. There's two types of time. There's now and not now. And I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly the way I look at things. And she's like, right, you've got ADD. And I go, maybe you're right, because that was like the 79th symptom that she pointed out to me. So yeah. Andy says, I think I got roughly $350 or so. $350 is a good start, Andy. Estella says, I could put my beaver hat on eBay, GM Logan. I can sell it to you for a good price. Yet it is a collector's item now. It is the what year? Now, hold on, let me think here. 2022, Estella. Can you believe it? The 2022 Listener of the Year Award, Estella being the very first Listener of the Year. So it is a collector's item for sure. Estella, I would leave it to the kids, because someday it'll be well, sentimental for them. But then if in a pinch they need an extra $200,000-$300,000, they can sell it or send it to an auction house like Sotheby's. Yeah, and then let's see. Mike Lentz was the second Listener of the Year, and Grant, our buddy Grant, was the third. And I still haven't sent his prize and care package. And I said, you know what? The kid's almost here. I think he's coming in April or something stupid like that. I was like, might as well just wait and give it to him in person so we can get a video of it and we can see him cry. That touching moment when Grant drops the veneer and shows that he does indeed have a heart. Andy says, shame that beaver felt is not locally sourced. I mean, they could advertise them as from start to finish in Gettysburg. Great idea. Great idea. Jeffrey says, so you are essentially Brick from Anchorman. I love yeah. Do you really love the lamp, Brick? I do love oil lamps. I think they're cool. And there's so many different types. Lanterns, lamps. And damn, some of the railroad lamps are expensive. There was one stand that had them, a good deal of them, and some of them are nice, but they're really expensive. I like the railroad lamps too. I just don't have any of them yet, because I don't know. I could buy a new oil lantern from Dietz for like $50, I think. Why am I spending hundreds of dollars on an old lamp? I don't get that. Or a lantern. I don't value things the way other people do, I guess. I don't know what it is. Dragoon says, always have to take the wife to Waynesboro to go antiquing. Part of the negotiated settlement for my Gettysburg trips. Yeah, so you went to that place that we went to, I'm assuming. The Del Mar Antique Market, I think it's called. Huge. And I really, they had a lot of stuff in there, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of junk, but most of those places have a lot of junk too. But the one thing I liked about it, you go into these antique places, most of them that I've been to, when you walk in, it smells like your grandmother's house, right? Old furniture, old carpet, old whatever. This did not. It smelled like just, I don't know, it just had a nice smell. I think it's because of the high ceilings, but I could be wrong. There's another antique place in Emmitsburg your wife might like to check out. I think it's just called Emmitsburg Antique Mall or something like that. But yeah, give that one a try too. Garrick says, good morning, Matt, watching from my station in Hellam. Where the hell is that? Stella Grant, I don't know, but I can for a good price. Wait, what did Grant say? They sell beaver on eBay? Estella, don't go down that road. He's being dirty. Unless you knew that and you're going along with him, then good for you. Good for you. Andy says, I cry each time I tune into this podcast. Yes, I cry each time I do this podcast. Stella and I are the best listeners of the year, in my opinion. The other guy, I don't know about. Wow, Grant, you really... Grant, when I started addressing Gettysburg and everybody was, oh, Jim and Eric, they hate you and they bash you on your show. And I was like, oh, and I just took everybody's word for it. I didn't go and listen myself. I remember one person could see I was feeling down about it, and he goes, look, I'll tell you something somebody told me when I started my business. He told me there's two ways to build the tallest building in town. You knock the other ones down, or you build the tallest building. And he goes, build the tallest building. And I go, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build the tallest building. And that's what you should do too, Grant. Okay? You don't need to put down 6 questions and pull poor Estella into it so you're not alone in your building trashing. You need to just build the tallest building, okay? Be the tallest Grant you can be. Of course, you don't use feet in Australia, I'm assuming, so I don't even know how tall you are. 39 centimeters? I don't even know how that works. Where do we leave off here? Peter says, Grant cry after the bear spray. Paul says, morning, Paul. Babber says, a pair of Garland's ruby slippers from Wizard of Oz sold for $32.5 million in December. How utterly ridiculous. Yeah, well, you say that, but someday you might be the one who buys Estella's beaver hat for $200,000 and sell it. Maybe you'll sell it for $1 million. You never know. You never know. Estella says, it is quite an honor to be the first listener of the year. All 3 listeners of the year should be on the Wall of Fame. I believe you guys are. Well, Grant will be when he comes and visits. But you and Mike are on the Wall of Fame. Actually, yeah, I should probably do that, is have all the listeners of the year just sign the Wall of Fame. When you come back into the studio, for whatever reason, Estella, we'll have to have you go over there and add underneath it LOTY 22, so that people know, oh my God, that's the listener of the year of 22, Andy says, just be careful with oil lamps. We had someone die in the 1890s in Curtin Mansion from blowing one out. They blew the flame right into the oil reservoir and died from 3rd-degree burns. Oy vey. I always saw, like in the movies when they cup their hands around the top of the chimney, so I'm assuming so that you're not blowing directly into the thing. But you could also put your mouth over it to suffocate it, but that's probably not smart. 1884 house for antiques. I never heard of that one. Is that in Waynesboro too? We'll have to check that out. Garrick's Ration Reviews. I'm in search of a saddle because we have this saddle stand that came with the house. Like the hallway has kind of like a Western feel to it, and the previous owner or somebody had like this saddle stand in there, but they never put a saddle on it. And I was like, why wouldn't you do that? So I have saddle bags. Now I just need to put a saddle on it, and then it goes with my gun belt hanging off it. It's a nice little motif, you know, little motif. Yeah, there's a couple of this area is full of antique stores. Just between here and Hanover, there's got to be, I think I counted last time, 810. So there are a lot of places for you to check out in the Gettysburg, Adams County, York County area. Helm is in York before Wrightsville. You're out there, man. You're out there. Stella says, don't worry, Matt. I won't sell my beaver hat to Grant. Thank God you said hat. Paul was up in Keene, New Hampshire, scored a nice 1936 Kruger beer can at a good antique shop last week. I haven't seen too many antique beer cans. I really like the old tools, like that are like 600 pounds. No wonder people were in better shape. You know, all of our stuff got lighter. Meanwhile, these guys are swinging these like axes that are 75 pounds. And just, you know, everything is so heavy. A wrench is like at least 35 pounds. But they look so cool. My grandfather, I remember in his garage, he had a workshop in his garage for working on things in the summer and a workshop in his basement for the winter. Not his, I didn't get those genes. He had all these tools that were like ancient, very, very heavy, very solid, really old tools. And I just thought they were the coolest things. Stella says, seriously, Grant, I love and have much appreciation for 6 questions. Yeah, Grant, you know, it's take shots at me, but 6 questions, people actually like him. You gotta understand, people listen to my stuff in the hopes of hearing 6 questions. They come to my events in the hopes that 6 questions will soon be there. That's the one you don't want to go after. He's beloved or beloved. And Grant says that he's taller than Estella. Garrick's says they had a saddle in there a couple of weeks ago. Of course. I have seen saddles like for pony rides, but I'm looking for like a real saddle. I've seen a few on Facebook Marketplace. I don't believe that they're as inexpensive as they're being marked at. I don't know. I never really contact them because they're never close by. But I'll find one day. Dragoon, both in Waynesboro. Try Gettysburg Emporium. They have saddles every now and then. Gettysburg Emporium. Are you talking in town? No. That's the reenactor place, right? I'm not looking for a new saddle. I'm looking for a used saddle. I don't want it to look pretty. I want it to look lived. Stella, you could always get a candle snuffer to extinguish your oil lamps. Yeah, I'm not worried about the oil lamp exploding in my face. I've had them for many years and always found that didn't take much to extinguish the flame. Grant says that is true. Mike is very likable and knowledgeable. He's actually funny too. See, I told you. Matt Gillespie says, can we start a 6Q fan club? I think it's already started. You just need to get a president and, you know, all the propers done, and you've got it. Stella says, see, Grant, I like you, but really like 6 questions. Ooh, snap. You need to work in your status of my liking you. Work on your status of my really liking you. You need to work on it. Thing there is, you need to work on being like a bull, Grant. Tim York says, I was actually alive before there was such a this as... Okay, got it. I was actually alive before there was such a thing as an electric drill. My dad was a carpenter and used a hand crank drill. That's what he used to have on the wall. I remember it. The hand crank drill. I thought that was so cool. Until he's like, here, try it. And then I was like, this is stupid. Dragoon says, yes, Gettysburg Emporium sells used stuff. It's a few doors down from Rupp House. Yeah, okay, I thought that's what you were talking about. Okay, so they do have used stuff. I might go in there and see if they have a McClellan then. Maybe I'll do the McClellan thing instead of the Western thing. Dennis says, I buy wood chisels and planes. Those are cool. They had a lot of those at this place. Man, I knew a guy who did woodwork years ago. Beautiful work. And I always wish that he had been able to get it out to market better. I don't know what he's doing, if he's still around or not, but he just did great work. And I always admired that, because you take this just chunk of wood and next thing you know, it's a chalice with all these inlays, and it's like, what? Peter says, marketplace online can be worth it. People selling stuff they don't really know the price. Oh, I know. There's some pretty cool stuff out there. I mean, I also like antique desks, and I'm looking for a new one that's a little more usable, I guess. I don't know. Like the one I have, I forget what they call the one I have. I like it, but it was something, somebody gave it to me. She was getting rid of it. She's like, you want this? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. But I want to get one that's a little more ornate, maybe, is the word I'm looking for, but also usable. Love a good roll top desk. I also love a good like a railroad office desk, so anyway, I've seen them on Marketplace, but they're like $50, $75, and I'm like, okay, either these people are just trying to get rid of it and they don't know what they have, or this is not a legitimate thing, because there's no way in hell that's $50. But I haven't taken them because, again, they're not close by. Kevin says, Timothy, how old are you? Electric drill was produced commercially by Black & Decker in the early 1900s. Timothy is in his early 200s. You need to get an appreciation for old-timey tools. I have one. I have a hand-cranked coffee grinder. Oh, we almost got one of those yesterday. There was a really nice one, and Cindy caught Cindy's eye, and I was like, that is nice. But are we going to actually use it, or is it a decoration, or what is that for? And then something caught my squirrel brain eye, and I went, ooh, look at that, and I walked over, and then that was the end of that. And it's the only way you make coffee was by grinding by hand. That's pretty cool. A hideaway secretary desk. Yeah, my grandmother had one of those. Those are nice. I would totally go for any one of those types of things. I just think they're cool. And, practical. Yeah, for all your letter writing. Right. Which I still intend to sit down and respond to at my standing electric desk. That, the thing about the modern stuff, not that they don't have drawers and but I have this electric standing desk, adjustable desk, and it's good for my back, but nowhere to store anything. It's got like a shelf underneath, and it's got a little bit of a shelf on top for your monitor and whatever else you can fit up there, but otherwise not really practical. So that's why I want to get one of these other desks, is put all the household paperwork in there so we know where everything is. Jeffrey says, being able to create something with your hands that will outlast you is extremely rewarding. Amen. Fell in love with carpentry young and made it my career. Nothing now is made to last. Isn't that the sad truth? I remember before we got the house that we're in, we had another house under contract, and it was built in the 1880s, and it had been taken very good care of. It was built to be a summer school, and it was run as such until the 50s, and then it was purchased by a doctor who made it an office and his home, and then in the 80s he sold it to another doctor who did the same thing. And so it only had 3 owners, and it was taken very good care of. But when we were up in the attic and we're just looking at the woodwork and the pegs and the dowels, whatever they call it, just the way they did things, the craftsmanship was amazing, and the wood was solid. I mean, that wood was just they just made everything to last back then, and we don't do that anymore, which is stupid. But you're right, Jeffrey, though. Being able to create something with your hands is very rewarding. That's why, when you, so Eric, the producer, he has his leather making stuff, and I keep telling him, I'm like, you've got to charge more for that, because it's a lot of work that goes into it. Hand stitching, that's not easy. That's got to give you carpal tunnel syndrome. So you're actually harming yourself. And he would always say, well, people balk at the price now. And I go, right, because they're morons and they don't understand that handmade stuff is something to be appreciated. And handmade stuff, unlike the stuff they're used to paying very little for, is not mass produced. They're all one of a kind, even when you do things the same way. And so for me, it's worth it. And if I have to wait an extra month so that I have the scratch to do it, I would rather pay somebody a lot of money for something they made with their hands than something that I can buy at Walmart or even an actual furniture store. Everything is just made, not everything, but most things are just made shabbily now. They look nice. It's like the houses we were looking at. The owners would do a lipstick on a pig thing and then think that it's worth an extra $80,000 because that's what they spent or whatever. And so their asking prices were ridiculous, because you go in, you're like, wait, this is cheap shit you get at Lowe's. This isn't even the good shit, it's the cheap shit, and this is gonna fall apart in 3 years. And you want me to pay how much? And and it's just everything it's all a facelift. It's all lipstick on a pig, but nothing is as it was, where it was built to last and people took pride in their work and their craftsmanship. Not that those people don't exist now. It's not what I'm saying. They do, and those are the people I like to reward with my money, and because I know how hard it is, because I do it. It's hard. Peter Zach says, just watch The Last Rifleman. Pretty interesting story. I remember the real guy escaping the old folks' home to go to the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Why does that vaguely sound familiar to me? Kevin says, Jeffrey, I agree. I have over 50 years in as a carpenter, retired now though. Yeah, I always admired that. People that can build shit. Tried to build a fort once when I was a kid out in the woods. My friend Timmy died because of my faulty construction. And I'll never forgive myself for that. And I'll never forgive him for not following my instructions to not actually go in the fort, because the roof will probably fall on you. Andy says, desk-wise, try to get a chair without a back to force you to sit up properly. I did that, and now I have great posture. Also, ditching cell phone as much as possible helps with the back issues. Yeah. So I sit on a stool. Not the best for my buttocks, but I'll tell you something. The purpose of that is to be uncomfortable so that I will stand. Because, sometimes you want to sit, so you sit. That's why it's beautiful having an adjustable desk. Because then when you want to stand, you stand and you move the desk up. It does help. I gotta find, I forget what they're called, but like they're chairs that have no back. The seat is angled and you actually like curl your knees in under you and rest, or curl your legs under you, and you rest your knees on like a knee rest in front of you, and that also made me have good posture. I don't know what the hell they're called though, so I don't know how to look for them. I guess kneeling chair or sitting posture chair, is it? I don't know, but I had one and I liked it. I don't remember where it went though. Timothy York says, well dang Ken, I stand erected. At 68, I do remember when my dad purchased an electric drill and power saw. I guess the handsaw drill, maybe you weren't allowed to touch those when you were a kid, so you just remember the old-timey ones, the non-electric ones. Peter Zach says, used to be all about old homes, then living in one I learned old problems. Yeah, that was the problem. So I lived in an old home in town, and because of the way the borough is hysterical about, historical appearance, again, lipstick on a pig, you can't, if you're gonna get new windows, you have to like replace them with like old windows. You have to get custom windows, and so and if it's a rental, nobody cares. So these windows are old and brittle. The wood is brittle, and there's leaks and drafts and this and that and single pane, and for whatever reason everybody took their storm windows out. I guess they went out of style or something, but they help. But anyway, it was awful in the winter. It wasn't so bad in the summer. It kept the cool air in, but the heat was a real biatch. So yeah, I did not like that. But then that house wasn't taken care of. However, the house that we originally had under contract was very well taken care of. It's central air, and then they also had a wood stove. And we were in there several times. We went to see the house, and we were in there on some pretty hot days outside, and it was very comfortable inside. But winter is the problem. Winter's always the problem. But that house seemed to be pretty tight. I'm trying to learn leather working and have the stitching thing down. I need to get funds to be able to make mistakes when working. Yeah, that's the problem with some hobbies, is they're expensive. And if you gotta learn, you're gonna make mistakes. So you have to be able to do away with things. I remember when I started to paint, I liked oil paints, but they were more expensive. I just learned, well, you use a little bit. You don't start on a giant painting, you start on a small painting, and that way you're using less paint. But it's different when you're making something out of leather. It's not like paint where it'll last you for years sometimes. Jeffrey says, getting something from America is on my bucket list. Quality is always worth it. Nothing like having something crafted. So I have 3 belts that I got from him, among many other things. And these are good belts. Remember when belts used to be, leather belts, they used to be firm, kind of hard, rough, tough, like you had to work them in. It took a while for them to get kind of loose and soft and whatever, and maybe they wouldn't even get that loose or soft. Remember that? Remember those days? You can't find a belt like that anywhere. You can't even find it at Cabela's. It's like fake hard leather. I don't know. It's just not the same. And I used to have a belt that I bought maybe 20 years ago from Cabela's that I lost, but I liked it because it was just that thick, heavy duty leather, and I wanted another one. And so I asked Eric to make me a couple, and he made me 3 different ones, but they're all good quality leather. I really enjoy with the freaking leather, and I love it. I think he does a great job. I saw he made a gun belt and holster for someone, and that's the next thing I want him to do, because that looked beautiful. Jeffrey says, you can always feel the passion when you get something that is made from talent and art. Much like AG. Matt is my favorite thing about the show. Wait, what? Matt, my favorite thing about the shows is your passion and love for the subject. It resonates. Oh, thank you. Well, I do. You can't put up with what I put up with and not love it. So, I do love doing it. It is fun to do. And I meet great people doing it. I am very lucky, and it is all due to the patrons and any of you who have patronized one of our sponsors, or bought a t-shirt, or came to a show in person and bought a ticket. Like, it's all because of you guys that I am, for the first time in my life, happy. And I'm not even kidding. Once this started to work for me, my happiness went up. So that was like, I was in my early 40s. Well, I'm in my mid 40s now, but I was only 42, 43 when I how old was I when I think I was 43 when I was like, I don't need a second job. Now I can just do this. And that's when I achieved happiness for the first time in my life, because I wasn't making a living because I went and asked somebody for a job and he said okay. I was making a living because I created something that people wanted to support, and that was and you have to understand, coming off of just 4 years prior to that, I wanted to literally jump off a bridge. So to go from completely despondent and hopeless and this can never get good, I'll never be happy, to finally being happy, because the thing that led me to that despondency was that I felt that I had these talents, but I couldn't bring them to market and make a living at them. And they so obsessed me because apparently I've had ADD all along and no one ever caught it, and they just called me lazy. So I hated myself, and I'm still in the process of trying to grow to like myself, and that's a hard thing to do. So a lot of the bluster and the ego and all that stuff, that's a character. Like I fucking, you know, when someone leaves a negative comment, I think they're right. So, you know, and I usually agree with them, and I go, yeah, that's a good point. I am annoying. Something like that. But anyway, I love to do it. And so to do what you love to do, and people will support you doing it, like I always say this, and I always say that I'm not exaggerating when I say that, like, the patrons and everybody, like, are lifesavers. And so yes, and it is easy to follow that passion when you have people like that around you and behind you and underneath you, and, you know, wherever they are in the support circle. And yeah, so again, thank you, everybody. Andy says, speaking of forts, I have blueprints for Civil War era fortifications if you ever get enough land, Matt. If I do, I'll let you know. We probably have enough space on our property now for a little redoubt if you want to build one. We're going to go, ladies and gentlemen, to, I'm going to go via 30. We're going to go to East Cavalry Field. We haven't been there in a while. Peter says, everything old does last. I still have our original microwave. Wow. We had it before I was born. Is that one of the ones with the dial and the bell? Like, not obviously not digital buttons. Kevin says, well, Matt, I admire what you're doing, and at such a young age, better late than never. You have built something to be envied, a career in great podcasting, also bike touring, Gettysburg National Military Park. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I guess, yeah. I get it. Maybe I'm starting to believe that, because I keep hearing people say things like that, and I often think they're just trying to be nice, but people don't go out of their way to be nice. They go out of their way to be mean. So maybe you're right. 1E Nerd says, morning, 1E. 1E and a 2E and a. Grant says, why stand when you can sit? Winston Churchill. Yes, well, look at the size of him. Andy says, why sit when you can lay down? Me, as a reenactor in July. Matthew says, try sitting on a large exercise ball. It's supposed to work. Oh, that's a good idea. I don't know if the desk goes that low, but that's still a good idea. Kevin says, yes, Jeffrey, I concur with your admiration for Matt's creation. Thank you. Grant says, Matt should have to sit on an exercise ball while hosting a show. You'd only see the top of my head. That'd be funny, actually. Kevin says, Peter, I'm used to working on older houses, but they do have some peculiar problems for sure. And Anthony says, that nice smell of leather. The leather is cut up and repressed. There is nothing I love more than the smell of leather, particularly saddle leather. I don't know, is it the saddle soap they use. What is it? I don't know what it is about that, because it's not all leathers smell the same. And but there's that leather smell. Leather, gasoline, and horse manure are three things that I don't know why put me in a good mood when I smell them. Not a good mood, but like I like the smell of them. I don't know why. I think the horse manure and the leather, because I loved riding horses when I was younger, and so it just takes me back. But I even liked it when I was younger, so maybe I just really liked it, so I liked everything associated with it. Now, if you want a good strong belt, you got to get a carry belt. Yes. And I've actually been looking at a couple of different ones for carrying, not just everyday use. And for ages, I've wanted my clothes all made in Europe or America. Where are your clothes made? Anson makes great belts. I'll check them out. Alicia says, it's amazing to get to know you more, Matt. Thanks for sharing. Glad you made the decision to stick to it and make it possible also. Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I did too, Alicia. Hello, how are you? Hello, AJ, how are you? Peter says, no, surprisingly, the microwave is analog pre-80. Wow. Wow, and it works, or you just have it? Kettle says, Matt, your dedication to your podcasts, etc., is very much appreciated. Of all the podcasters in the great out there, you rank very highly. Well, thank you kindly. You always seem to get the audio levels balanced. I'm very anal about that. And so I'm not by any means a trained audio engineer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure like a real trained audio engineer would look at how I do things and be like, why don't you just do it this way? Or, whatever. But the one thing that drives me insane about podcasts is that, okay, you go, oh, we should do a podcast. Okay, let's do a podcast. And then somebody goes home, they Google, what do you need to start a podcast? And they go and they look at the options, they look at the prices, and they go, okay, look, if we spend this much money, we could get started. So they spend a couple $100, they get started, they make their podcast. But never in the process does one of them go, well, how does this stuff work? Like, how, what do I do? How does a microphone work? And so sometimes it sounds like they're talking to you in a fishbowl. And it drives me insane. I think I've got some kind of like sound autism. I'm using the word loosely, but you know what I mean? Like where it's, maybe it's some form of misophonia. I'm not sure, but like there's certain things that are just nails on the chalkboard to me. And that's one of them. So, and also the things that I can understand, that are clear, So why would I make somebody listen to something that they can't clearly hear? So I learned how, the basics of stuff, just basic stuff. Maybe a little too much. And I also spend way too much time, I used to spend way too much time playing with effects and tweaking things to sculpt the sound I want and everything like that. So I'm glad it's appreciated, because I really do, it was all self-taught, like, because YouTube, anything you want to learn, you can learn it on YouTube. I've become quite the Epicurean because of YouTube now. I'm a fantastic chef. I make it's mainly one thing, but it's so wonderful. And then but it's all because of YouTube. Like, you could save so much money. Kids, listen to this. okay? Forget school. It's a boondoggle. It's a joke. All it's giving you is debt. YouTube will teach you anything you want to know. Just figure out what you want to know. Quickly, listen to that before your parents turn this off. Okay. I got my subversion in. And okay, Estelle says, I think, or it's all thanks to you, Matt, for all the wonderful people I met, and we are now great friends. I am so much a part of Gettysburg. It's all because you, well, oh, that's very sweet of you, Estella. You're very much a part of Gettysburg because you participate, but I appreciate you saying that. Estelle says, the exercise balls are so good for your back, and it's a wonderful calming tool. All right, I'll try them. Do they make them for lard asses? They don't explode? I'll try. I'll look into them. That might be, yeah, that might be fun. Do they make them with a handle on them so I could bounce around the house? And he says it's leather, gunpowder. Oh yeah, gunpowder. Black powder. Well, although I do like modern day, but black powder especially. Okay, so yeah, I have a longer list. And I agree with you, Andy, on leather, gunpowder, whiskey/bourbon, cigar, pipe smoke. I prefer pipe, but cigar sometimes hits nice. Those are my favorite scents as well. Also, armpit odor. No, just kidding. I just had another one. Garlic. The smell of garlic and onions cooking. I love that. Fried up garlic and onions. That's some good stuff. I said horse manure, saddle leather, gasoline. The smell. Okay, how about this? I don't know what they use to wax fire trucks, but the smell of a firehouse always shoots me back to being a kid. We would go to rent this house at the Jersey Shore, and the firehouse was like half a block away. And so my grandfather would go for a walk to get the paper and everything in the morning, and I'd go with him, and we'd stop at the firehouse if they had the garage door open, and he'd come and ask if I could see the fire truck, and they'd let me sit in the fire truck. And that smell always shoots me back to being that little 7, 6, I don't even, I was probably 5 or 6 year old, going to the firehouse with his grandfather. And that smell of that fresh wax, or I assume it was the wax, I don't know what it is, but I just love the smell of it. Peter says, if Matt sits on a ball on AG, just his head showing, got to do something like like the genie on Pee-wee's Playhouse. It won't even be, no, it would be, no, you would see more than just the top of my head. If I get an exercise ball, I'll do one of the shows sitting on it. No, Barbara, I can't figure out the problem. I called the manufacturer again, and again I got another person who I don't honestly, and I know this is, you're not supposed to say this, but like there's a language barrier sometimes when you call these places, and I'm trying to explain to them technology that I don't have the language for, so I can't like dumb it down in American English, because I'm not speaking to somebody who knows that as their first language. So I'm not able to communicate what is going on. It's the second time that's happened, and so I could tell that he was just giving me he was giving me like the same answers you would find if you go to their website and you go to troubleshooting. You know, like it's not the website, it's like the manual. And that's, I tried all those, you know. So, and actually, the problem I have, I can't find the answer to in the troubleshooting section of the manual, in the message, excuse me, in the message boards on Reddit or on their own website. So I'm having a very hard time. I'm ready to just throw it out the window but then I'd have to spend another $1,200 on a new one. So I don't want to do that just yet. So if anybody out there is familiar with Blackmagic, I have the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. What's happening is at random times, provoked by nothing that we can figure out, the picture freezes, the audio continues, but the picture freezes, and it's during a live stream, and yeah, doesn't record that way. Just so if you know about Blackmagic, please contact me because I'm at my wit's end. Alicia says sensory sensitivity. My son is the same way. Yeah. I don't really have an extreme case, like I can muddle through somehow, but also it's coinciding with that like middle-aged lack of patience for anything anymore. So like anything that annoys me or it makes me uncomfortable or whatever, I go away from it. So if I hear a podcast that sounds like they're talking in a fishbowl, it's like 5 minutes at the most, and I got to turn it off. And not only that, but like they make, so when I started podcasting, it was not the way it is now. Like now because it's so popular, they make equipment designed for people who don't know jack to come in and be able to set up and use with relative ease. But you got to pay $600 to $800 for just the recorder, and then depending on what your budget is, it could be anywhere from $80 to a few $100, $500, $600, maybe $1,000 if you're crazy, for a microphone. And how many microphones are you going to need? And that adds up. And you need wires and cables and memory cards. And if you want to do a video, you need cameras. Then you need to figure out an editor. And then you got to pay for editors. I mean, editing programs, software, unless you know somebody. And he's only going to want to do it for so long before he's like, oh, dude, I got to get... Like, at Court, when Court and I started talking about him helping me out with the show and stuff, he told me, he's like, I have a full podcast studio back at home in West Virginia. And I go, oh, you do a podcast? Because he has a good voice. I said, that's the first thing I said to him, was like, you should do a podcast. And he said, well, I have a full studio back in West Virginia. I go, well, why don't you do one? And he goes, well, I was going to do one with my friend, but at one point my friend came to me and he was like, you're going to basically be doing 100% of the work. And I said, oh, yep, I've done that. And that's not good. That's not good because it becomes too much work. I do that. I still do it. But I don't have a partner. I have done it where I had a partner, and he never said that. But that just the way life was. Wife and kids and a full-time job. You don't have time. I had time at the time, so I did all the work. But eventually, you kind of feel it just weighs on you. It becomes a lot. So, yeah, it's you just got to learn how to use microphones and all that. Andy says, I don't know what responsible parent lets their children get life advice from Matt. Not responsible, smart, okay? I'll tell you why. And this is, you can ask people who know me. I'm always 10 to 20 years ahead of everybody else as far as calling it. So here's what. I've been saying probably since college, that college is a scam. Because unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something specialized like that, all you're doing is saddling yourself with debt. You don't win. Oh, but it gets your foot in the door, right? But then you have to get a master's and spend more money because everybody has a bachelor's. Just like everybody used to have a high school degree and then that became worthless. Then you needed a bachelor's. Now everybody has a bachelor's and that's worthless. You need a master's. So, I don't know. I think society as a whole lost faith in itself as individuals. And so therefore everybody says, oh, let's go to college, let's go the safe route. And it's not safe anymore. It's not safe anymore because you're saddled with debt that I know people my age who are still paying off their college debt. That's insane. And I don't know, like, rely on yourself, figure it out. Like there's a whole world out there where you can figure out what you're gonna do. If you just put a little faith in yourself and don't let people tell you can't do things. Take it from a guy who let people tell him he can't do things. That was the wrong way to be. And once I basically mentally told him to F off, suddenly my world changed. So that's all I'm saying. And I think the kids know it, by the way. This is the thing. They know it. They know I'm right. They can see it. They can see that they're inheriting nothing. And the status quo is not going to work for them. Because it's not working anymore. So, I'm right. Sorry. Kevin says, yes, Andy, this podcast is definitely an adult dose. Stella, I'll send you a picture of an exercise ball. So if you have a link to one, please send it to me, Estella. I'll get it. I've seen them. I'm not up close because I've never used them. Kevin says, hey, where's Marie this morning? I miss her input. Yeah, I wonder where Marie is. I haven't seen her in the last one or two, I don't believe. Matthew says, some college football teams use exercise balls to strengthen their core in the off season. Those guys are heavier than you. Okay, good. Lorelei Gilmore, she says, God bless you, Matt. Been listening while walking my dog and find your words very inspirational today. Whoa, thank you for sharing. You're a gangsta. Oh, stop. You're making me blush. Thank you. I don't know what I said, but you're welcome. Peter said, I love on a cold day the smell of rough burnt diesel. Hey, diesel's not bad either. Also, because that reminds me of the school bus as a kid. And the smell of, again, it must have been whatever they cleaned the inside of the buses with. That smell. I used to love to watch the bus driver drive with the manual transmission. Those old diesels, the manual transmission smelled and it's freezing. The bus was freezing. There was no heat. There was heat blowing on the driver, but that didn't get through. Now the school buses are like, first of all, safe. Like, what's that about, right? Secondly, they're comfortable. Comfort and safety? Not in my day, boy. That's not how it worked. No, sirree. That's how we learned to toughen up, to rough it, Your legs freeze in the winter when you're riding on the bus because that pleather vinyl, whatever the hell it is, seat was freezing, and the air was freezing. And you get up and you got to kind of like, you almost mosey like a cowboy because you can't really walk because your legs are solid chunks of ice. So there's that joy. But it builds character, Builds character. All right, let's say Matt is a true inspiration. Oh, Grant, I never know when you're actually complimenting or being a douche. Kevin says, I like the smell, that smell too, Peter. Hey, how's your reenactment stuff going? Okay, now we've got wish. Did somebody say wish? The magic words, mecca, mecca, hi, ho. They used to crack us up because they said Heine. Brandon says, why bring the race of the magic into this? What is he talking about? Barbara says, I don't know if it would help, but have somebody in the studio turn their phones to LT. No, it's so we're certain it's not internet related. And without making your eyes pop out of your head with confusing technical talk, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. So there's a switcher, okay? And all the cameras are plugged into the switcher. That switcher then is run into the computer, which has a software on it that we use to connect to the internet and broadcast what comes out of the switcher, okay? That's pretty simple. Now here's where it gets a little convoluted. The broadcaster, you can create multiple, what they call scenes, and you build those scenes. So we have the show scene, which is basically most of the show. And we have the news scene, which uses a green screen technology to put the news graphic in the background when the girls are talking. And then we have both of the commercial breaks. And then Colby or whoever in the back clicks on the appropriate one of those. So when the show is going on, it's on show. And then he leaves it and he turns attention back to the switcher. Somewhere between the switcher and the software is where the glitch happens. And we know this because when we're frozen and we go to a commercial break, you guys can see the moving picture. And when we come back from commercial break, it's still frozen. So that's telling me it's somewhere, most likely it's in the switcher, not the computer. So that's the problem I'm having. And nobody seems to. So it's not internet related. For a while I thought it was, but it wasn't. That's the other reason why, is because we could see it in the computer in the studio. That was not the broadcasted version. It's what was being broadcast. It's a pre-broadcast. So yeah, that it's not the Wi-Fi or anything like that. Oh, I get it. Black magic. Okay. Gotcha. Peter says, Kevin, it's getting a little 50-50. That's great news, Peter. Kevin definitely will be the show. There's a high stand on 5250. Are there any videos on podcast of your group, Peter? Grant says, West Virginia, Court and Cam should do a podcast together. Yeah, I know. They're from wildly different parts of West Virginia, though. Andy says, Grant, that is genius. Cam can call it Legends of the Swamp Dragons and other miscellaneous folklore, especially interested in what they do with wheelbarrows. Bill says, hey, Matt, thanks for the ride along. Thank you for joining me, Bill. Peter says, the smell of burnt diesel reminds me of in the military trying to keep warm and huddling against the exhausted trucks and Humvees. Yeah, that sounds very healthy. Oh, not burning the diesel. I got you. Sorry, I misread that. Matthew says, not diesel. It reminds me of having to ride in those old deuce and a halves. Kevin says, demonstrating your youthful age again, Matt. Diesel school buses. Mine were gas powered. That was before diesel power became prevalent. Yeah, no, ours, it said, because right by the door, that's where the gas tank was, and it said diesel fuel only. And it had that diesel engine sound, and oh yeah, I love those old school buses. 7-Eleven on the site of the Eagle Hotel, correct. First thing my wife learned about Gettysburg. The heat reminds Grant of Mexico. Well, I got to run into the 7-Eleven right now. So you guys have yourselves a merry little Christmas. We will be back. Let's see, patrons will be back with Cody H tomorrow. Tomorrow, he's talking about how it was all Lee's fault. Well, he's not making the case that it was all Lee's fault, but we're talking about Lee trying to make the case that it was all his fault. My friends, hear me. It was all my fault. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. First Lieutenants on Patreon can see that. That's for you guys there. And then Thursday, Judy Morley is coming on AG Today. Judy is the new president at the Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center. And we're going to talk about trivia coming up this Saturday. Hey, guys, listen, I know it's Valentine's Day weekend. And I think what you should do is say to your wife or girlfriend, honey, we could be like everybody else and go and sit at a restaurant with flowers on the table and look around us and see the exact same picture and be no different than anybody else. Or we can be the unique couple we are, and I can show you in a unique way how unique and special my love for you is if we go to tacos and trivia with Address in Gettysburg and the Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center on Saturday instead. It'll be fun. We'll make friends. We'll maybe win a trivia. And by the way, folks, it's not all about the Civil War. It's general trivia, not about generals, although there might be one or two, but it's not all about the Civil War. It's not even about Gettysburg. So it's for everybody and anybody. We hope to see you there. You go to the Seminary Ridge Museum's website. It's seminaryridgemuseum.com. Go to the events tab, pick the 15th, and order your tickets ahora. Ahora. Meaning now. Do it now. Andy says, I'm in Reston, VA for a dance convention with my 2 girls this weekend. See, that's silly, Andy. Tell them we're going to trivia instead. Tell them it's BYOB. Matthew, have a great day. Doing great work. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You guys have been very nice today. I don't know why, but thank you. I appreciate that. That actually was a much-needed buck up. Grant says, it's okay, Matt. Nobody's perfect except me. That's true. I generally don't care for trivia. And Estella says, have a great day. All right, everybody. You guys have a great day. I will talk to you later, and hopefully you'll talk back.